You're listening to the PT Pintcast, where smart people in healthcare come to make noise. Here's your host, Jimmy McKay.
I said we were going to be live here a lot from APTA's CS7 in Anaheim, and we are. And there we are. Becky Craik, thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
And dropping by. You're busy over there. You're elbow rubbing. You're schmoozing.
I'm trying.
You're doing these things. So your background was in research, or is it pronounced research? Is that
depends on which part of the country you're from?
Is that the pinky in the air version of I'm into the research?
Either one is highly acceptable.
So you had a pretty distinguished career at Arcadia University.
I did
in Pennsylvania, and you somehow slipped me in the side door to be on the board of trustees for a really great organization that I was lucky enough to be exposed to as a student because of a faculty member, right? Which is the Foundation for Physical Therapy Research. So for people who don't know what that is, what do they do? What is the big goal? What is the North Star of the foundation?
The biggest goal is to collect evidence to determine if what physical therapists do really works.
The proof.
The proof.
In the pudding.
That's exactly right. And it's not to study to determine that it will work. It's to determine if it works.
Yeah.
Which is a big difference. So you have to be unbiased to do the research, and you have to have a lot of money. And so that's the ultimate goal. We've come so far since 1979,
which is when it was established.
Started with Charles Magistro. And he said he imagined at some point that we would have $25 million as an endowment. And now we have 31. So we have surpassed his vision, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
So it's just so much fun. And it took all that time to train researchers because physical therapy really is a clinical practice. And so to attract people into a field that is almost antithetical to clinical practice and go through that training and then take that training and apply it back takes a long time. And in 1979, there weren't a lot of programs that trained to do physical therapy research. So I went to a medical school physiology lab. Others went to anatomy labs. Others did basic animal research because that's how we could get trained.
Yeah.
Now you can go to a school where the faculty members are doing physical therapy research. And they're not only looking at sort of why things work, but now they're able to say, does it work? And then finally, is it cost effective?
Yeah.
So it's a huge shift.
Yeah.
Since 1970.
So when people listening who are not in research get to say, well, the literature, the research says a lot of that, not all of it, but a decent amount of it starts with grants from the foundation.
Yes. So it's so cool. So back to your question, the purpose is to train investigators and to provide small grants to give them pilot data so that they can launch their career in getting funds from the government or other foundations that are much larger than ours.
To create sustainability. We're going to give you this, but we don't want you to just keep coming back to us forever. The goal is to give you this, and that's your start.
That's right. We're a leverage.
When we do that, what is the research? What does the research of our own researchers look like? They go on to get more funding.
Oh, yes. Yes. Something like $600 million.
Something around that.
Yeah, something like that.
Follow-on funding. So
right.
Let me make sure I get this right. We have given out X amount of funds. The people that we give that to wind up going on getting more funds from other locations. So we've created researchers, and they go on and get more funds to do more research about our profession.
Yes, and I'll use me as an example. So I started out with a $10,000 grant from the foundation to do my research. And the last grant that I had was $10 million as a co-principal investigator from the government. So that's a big investment that we've made.
The foundation was the first domino,
that's right.
And that led to domino after domino.
Exactly.
I'm going to go to a different direction. I've heard this name a lot, even when I've been on the board. I've heard stories, but who is Charles Magistro? And not just his resume, but who is the person?
It's hard to think about how to talk about him. His father was a shoemaker.
Okay.
So he said He had to make sure that his children knew how to make shoes. And that's what he always talked about with the profession. He wanted physical therapists who knew how to do physical therapy. So that he was a pharmacist aide. I think that's what it was called in the military. And he was on a ship where there weren't a lot of other healthcare professionals. So he got to help with surgeries. It was it. And that gave him insight into what you could do in medicine. But he decided to become a physical therapist, and he knew what our skill sets were, and throughout his career tried to push us into roles that were beyond just doing technical stuff, not being technicians, but being leaders.
And he saw the future is brighter if we can produce our own research and researchers.
Right. To make us professionals, right? We needed a body of knowledge. So he just was amazing.
So there's a lot of people who might be listening or have done research who might not know his name, but they felt the ripples of the things that he did.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think so. I think so. Yeah. And certainly we do it. We have a Charles Magistro grant.
Correct.
Because people have given money in his name to develop an endowment to support Charles Magistro.
Let's talk to someone specific right now. Someone who I call them, they're on the edge of the diving board. They're like, okay, I've heard about this thing called research. Seems interesting to me. I don't know how to get started, right? Where would you send someone who's been around but doesn't have a person to go to? They don't have a person like you in their Rolodex. What are some suggestions you'd say to that person who has maybe the desire and just wants to know where to get started?
Well, there's so many ways, so many different ways.
All right.
So if you're working in an academic center, you're in a hospital in an academic center, then I would go to pick a department that aligns with your interests. So if you're interested in understanding movement, then see whether there are investigators in the university that are doing movement. If you can't do that because you're nervous, I'd call the foundation and ask for connections.
And people can do that?
Yes, absolutely. People can do that.
Ah.
And what will happen is that they'll refer, based on where people live, opportunities.
You know people who know people who
yes,
know people.
Exactly.
You're like, I got a person.
Yeah. Because that's the most wonderful thing about our profession. Everybody's connected and willing to help.
Pretty willing. The batting average is pretty high asking.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
There's the way I got exposed to the foundation was through competition. I don't like losing. I mean, I don't mind losing, but I definitely don't like not showing up. So this was sort of put in front of me as a little bit of a challenge, which is good because that's what it's called. And the challenge for us was, and the profession is, how many dollars can each academic program in the profession make and bring? I decided to do I said, we're going to do a lot of work for one day. And we did a 5K. And schools do a lot of different things. And the program is called the Marquette Challenge,
right.
Or I should say the Marquette, Delaware.
Yes,
this
now,
year.
Well, Delaware Marquette.
Delaware
yes.
Marquette Challenge. And what this is, listen, I'll break it down for you. This is a fundraising event with bragging rights on the line every single year. And it's been going on for a long time. You don't have to be able to raise $1 million to be a participating organization, a participating school. But you've been around before the challenge and now. And why was it so sort of innovative and impactful when it first came around?
I think when you think about a foundation and with the mission of supporting research, you want it to be sustainable. So you have to develop the next generation. And so the thought at the time was, if students were engaged in fundraising for the foundation, first they would learn what the foundation does, so that if they were interested in research, they would have heard about this as a
soft exposure, right?
Yep. And then the other was to help them understand that giving is really important, and that the foundation exists because of donations, with the hope that we could grow them up to become donors.
Yeah. And in that haystack, we shake out a couple of needles and a couple of research. Now, here's a weakness. Here's a problem is donating now. We know how research works. I mean, you do. I say we. I mean, you. It takes a while to see the results of that. But if we stop funding research, nothing's going to happen the first day or the first week or the first month. But you'll notice that pause in funding a year, 5 years, 10 years, and it's going to take even longer to get back.
That's right.
Right. So how do you communicate the need for continued when maybe the feedback loop isn't as fast? How do you explain that, why it's so imperative not to cut off funding or to slow
I don't know. I don't know how you have to, first of all, you have to value research. You have to, as a clinician, the evidence has to mean something to you. You have to think that it helps guide your practice. And if you believe where that comes from, then you want it to continue. And without funding, everything's changing so dramatically. We don't have one practice. The practice has changed so dramatically. We have to continue doing the research in order to determine whether or not the new stuff works.
Right.
So without funding, then we're not going to be able to look.
And again, you won't notice it on day one or month one.
And then you won't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
That would have to come down. It always comes down to payment.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to get. There's no evidence to support this intervention. So why should Medicare pay for it,
right,
or insurance companies? So it all is so tied.
Yeah.
Together.
It's just it's invisible. It's hard to see. You really got to look.
You're exactly right.
Without it, you're in trouble.
Big trouble.
Yeah. What does
well, I think we've seen some of that this year last year with the changes in government leadership and grants going away.
Yeah.
That were people had whole teams together who lost their grants, and that dispersed the whole team, so that even with a reversal in funding, the team's dispersed.
Right.
Some of them are working in Europe, some are in Canada. You've lost your
institutional
impetus.
knowledge. And
exactly.
This, I mean,
It's
you knock a train off the track, putting it right back on. It's a
really
standstill.
tough. Right.
You got to get that going. Right. You've been with the foundation for
ever.
Okay, good, got it.
Okay.
So you understand institutional knowledge.
Yes.
What would success look like in 5 or 10 years from now? Like, what do you? What's your BHAG, your big, hairy, audacious goal? This gives you a chance to be sort of like Charles Matristro, set a bar really high that maybe we can't get over, but we will.
So I love the idea of being able to provide small amounts of money to do pilot studies that then leverage into larger grants. We are interested in doing research that won't necessarily be funded by someone else. So, for example, our whole interest in cost effectiveness work, which is so important to us, I don't know that you can go, I know you can't right now go to NIH and ask for grant money.
Right.
So a dream would be to have a big grant so that we could fund cost effectiveness research as part of the foundation's dream.
And if we can't go to NIH or other big organizations, where's that money come from? Is that
That's
us?
right.
It's us. Everybody around here.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so to develop collaboration, so it would be more than the foundation. It could be partnerships with vendors.
Sure.
It could be partnerships with other small foundations. If the interest is to look at cost effectiveness.
A shared interest, a shared direction.
Correct.
Many hands make lighter pockets.
Exactly. Yes,
or heavier pockets. Heavier pockets.
A heavier pocket.
Heavier
yeah,
pocket.
You're right.
Perfect. All right. Every episode that we do, we have this thing called the parting shot.
Okay.
That's just your last chance for a mic drop moment. Is there something you've always left students with when you were in the classroom, or regular, like, hey, listen, I know I'm going to get one shot at leaving my one soapbox statement. Did you have one of those? Was there like a North Star for you?
Mm-hmm. Don't make enemies.
Ooh, that's smart. Yeah.
That's it.
It takes effort to make enemies. And
No.
Well, I feel like it does because like it's easier to. I feel like it's easier just to be neutral or kind than it is to make an enemy.
That's true.
And I'm like, why are you burning calories to burn a bridge? It's like,
because that's just not natural.
It's not. Yeah, perfect. Becky Craik, appreciate you coming on here talking about something that's very important for our profession, something that's probably a little bit invisible, that we'd like to make more visible.
Yes.
Let's change and reverse that.
Yes.
Appreciate you doing that. Thanks for
Thank
that
you.
live here from CSM.
Thank you.